Hilary, Plunket started Dunedin, yeah?
Yeah. The word you're
Truby
looking
King.
for was Truby King.
Truby King, yeah.
Yes. And there was he formed the view that it was good to, if you did that sort of thing, it would be better for mothers and babies in general, I think. I mean, he was a good plan in it. The Karitani nurses, they had people called Karitani nurses, because that's where he'd been, and they used to get sent to look after people at home too, mothers and babies.
Oh, that's right. They'd actually be resident at the place, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would come and so after you went home, maybe for a couple of weeks or something, they would help you out, which was doubtless an expensive thing, although they wouldn't have paid them bugger all probably, but it was a good thing for those people to do.
Well, we were just talking this morning about how you break the cycle. I had Anna Stretton on earlier. I was going to talk to her about fashion, but of course her primary interest these days is not so much fashion, but dealing with incarcerated women. And this latest report that's come out from the United Nations of New Zealand, looking at human rights abuses, quote unquote, in New Zealand, and suggested that the incarceration of Maori is some sort of human right abuse in this country. And so that's the context of the conversation we were having this morning. How do you get to that group of people?
I read some of it, and it reminded me of years and years ago when somebody said there was an epidemic, for want of a better word, of 16-year-old, 15-year-old, 17-year-old girls having babies in New Zealand, and they were trying to do something about it. And these middle-class white women were saying, we just have to explain to them how it's not their best option. This is, to have a baby and go and be an unmarried mother on a benefit. And I thought, there's no point telling them that, because actually it might be their best option. You could be quite wrong about that. What we want to do is help change the reality of that being their best option.
Well, now you're in Australia at the moment, which is quite useful actually, because there's lots happening over there at the moment. What are you doing over there? Just having a holiday?
I'm a very chief Australian correspondent today.
And no, but you're on holiday, I take it.
Yes.
Well, you're in Australia at an interesting moment, particularly if you're a woman, yeah?
Yes. And it's interesting to see the different things that come to bubble to the top of the consciousness of your average Australian compared with New Zealanders. And there's a few things. One of them is that the politicians have jumped on the Me Too movement. Sort of, I don't know whether Weinstein energised people or whatever it was, but everybody's leaping up and down and saying it's a disgrace. The number of women who are sexually abused, the rape case, the defamation case about rape that was here. Oh,
the Bruce Lehrman case, yeah.
Got it started, and women are being killed and sexually abused and all sorts of things in a way that the more they talk about it, the more uncomfortable the politicians and things are saying. There's a lot of hand-wringing. There's not much actually being done, but a lot of hand-wringing and a bit of protesting on the streets with placards saying decent men don't damage everyone, which I don't think, it's a weird thing to say. I don't know whether they just wanted to not say women, but it'd have been better to think that decent men don't damage people. Would be good, but anyway. So, yes, it's very much at the hand-wringing stage, and because of the federal system, the central government here can tell the states that they want to hear a plan about what they're doing about it. And interestingly, some of the worst of it, of the people who are saying we complain to the police and they do nothing. For example, there's a big gap between complaints to the police and any court cases happening or anything. And it seems to be at its worst in the Australian, whatever it is, territories, ACT, and Canberra, really.
Oh, how ironic.
You wouldn't have thought that would be the case.
No, you would have thought exactly the opposite. That's right, yeah. Listen, I asked this question of Jackie, but I'll ask it of you as a Kiwi, sort of looking at it as well. Are Australian men, or rather, is there a difference in culture between an Australian man and a New Zealand man? Particularly the way we treat women?
We're slightly more reserved British, and they're slightly more American, if I can put it that way. So they're brash.
Well, does that mean that Americans shoot their women as well, too, does it?
Well, some of them do. The poorly behaved ones, I mean, and I would include Trump in that area, he gets up every once in a while and says, I can do what I like with a woman, I'm rich, you know. And you wouldn't say that in New Zealand. You would say it in America, and people might say it when they're half-pissed it on the golf course in Australia, you might think. I don't know. I'm just saying you're just a wee bit more upfront and that means they're actually doing more damage, probably, of some sort. I mean, in New Zealand, we think of it as something that scumbag people do.
Yes.
But I'm not sure that it doesn't extend further in Australia than it does in New Zealand.
Well, here's the question for you. You're over there at the moment. Do you feel any less safe as a woman than you feel in Dunedin?
No. I've never felt particularly unsafe, even in Parliament. Now, Parliament's not a very safe environment.
Well, no, not if you're a man. I mean, you'll get some mad woman foaming all over you, you probably would have. That
was extraordinary, wasn't it? I went on the internet to look when the last person who walked across the house like that, not crossed the house, but walked across and did anything like that, couldn't find anyone at all. You will know better historically. Even Trevor Mallard did his fisticuffs thing outside.
Well, it was also with what's his name? Tohanare. So I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, given those two,
both of them.
Exactly. So I mean, that was sort of like, I don't think there was a victim there, but I'm sort of intrigued.
Extraordinary behaviour, isn't it?
Well, she's off a rocker. Let's be honest about it. And this is there's now a third complaint from the way in which she's treated people. And I think it's interesting that, and it's Green Party women, not Green Party men. Correct.
You might have noticed.
Yep.
I just say that because that's what we've seen so far, poorly behaved, and it seems in each case to be an extension of an end can justify the means.
Correct.
And she must have been challenged particularly because these several people who've complained outside Parliament and the occasion inside Parliament were people who were challenging her beliefs, her faith. So she's got a faith. And these people were saying things like, your cycle weight is damaging my business. Now, if she can't deal with that reality, that other people's reality is that that's what they see, and somebody even saying they're ghost riders, which I thought was funny.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
Just to explain to listeners, one of the comments that apparently riled her was that one of the people that she was involved in a confrontation with, who was a retailer in Wellington, described the cycleways as having ghost riders upon them, meaning that obviously nobody did. But it was rather clever. But that got her going too, apparently.
Yes, but that's sort of, she's so certain about that her way is the right way that anybody who suggests that they might disagree with her. And she goes feral.
Yeah, well, she's not the only one who goes feral. You know, they've got a Green female problem. 5 Green MPs now, either accused of bullying or have left Parliament for allegedly illegal purposes. Materia Toure, mind you, she ended up at Otago University as a professor of law. Can you believe that? Golris Garriman.
Yes.
Yeah, well, where else would you go? And then you've got...
interesting because that's Gora's wasn't stealing things from the opportunity shop. She
No.
was stealing
No.
high-end things.
Yeah, that's right. She wasn't making ends meet, was she?
No.
Actually, it's funny you should say that, because we're into May now, and really that case has not progressed at all, has it?
No, and the last one that they were going to get a couple of weeks ago a report back from their internal inquiry into the last one.
That's right,
And
Darlene Tama. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm wondering whether the reason why they haven't said anything about that, because they weren't going to get it the next day a couple of weeks ago, and we just didn't hear any more. I'm thinking it's gone to being a complaint to the immigration department or something. Would that make sense?
Well, I'll tell you something about the Greens. They are not only, we talked about the communism that lies within there, and I mean that properly, because they are basically greenwashing their communism, I think, and their extreme left views and their anti-capitalist views. But also, they will not tell you the truth. And one of the things we know about the Greens is that, unlike any other party that has had problems with its members of parliament and have decided upon a policy of front really quickly and get this over and done with, the Greens love holding information back and not letting people know, don't they? We know that from the way in which they've been dealing with the media on these issues.